All right, y'all. So a while ago, you guys said that you kind of liked the on the way to the gym vlogs, and I wanted to talk today about something I was thinking about. And I don't know why, but these mid as fuck songs keep coming to my mind. And in this today, it was about "Single Soon" from Selena Gomez. And I was just like listening to it, and I don't know, like I think when you're approaching mid-size, which is what I am, I'm on the downward swing now. I've gone past the hormonal issues that I've had in terms of like obesity and all that. I'm getting kind of beyond that phase. And so now I'm starting to progress to mid-size sedan. That's the next phase, because as the seasons shift and as things kind of continue on, I am going to move forward. So I'm going to move forward from that phase where I'm not going to have to, like, I'm very swollen right now. I've literally gained 20 pounds, just like I predicted. I had a feeling I would gain 20 pounds of water again. I did that last year. It happened again. I don't even think that I really have... I didn't eat that much this year in terms of last year, but I still put on that same 20, which is interesting. Last year I put on 30, which some of it was fat. This year, 20 again, right around the solstice, right around that time. I just blew up like a balloon, and then now I'm kind of slowly coming down. And so it's like, I'm gonna be mid-size soon. Like, I was already getting very close in October. I was kind of on the edge there for a minute. And basically, it's shifted now, where now I'm back up again, but I'm gonna be back on the downward swing. And so I think it's weird, because that song is weird to me, because she's kind of like singing about how she's in a relationship, but she's about to like dump a guy or whatever, like she's gonna be done with him. And to me, it's just kind of weird how that works in terms of the song. I'm gonna turn this off just because I'm on a busy street. It's kind of weird how that works in terms of the song, but I think I kind of understand it if I think about it in terms of like breaking up with obesity, because there's a lot of times where I've felt that way about it, where I felt like obesity is like a relationship in a way, because you spend so much time with it. It's such a huge part of who you are, for a time anyway. And then all of a sudden it starts to end, and to me it makes sense to have that impending breakup more so from this context, because it doesn't really make sense from another context to me. So I think it's like, I've been thinking about it, and it's like, I'm gonna be mid-size soon. I'm not gonna be fat anymore. I'm almost out. You know, mid-size is not fat, actually, not technically. To some people, they would consider it fat, but it isn't actually fat. You're mid-size, you're in between. And that's coming, you know. I think I'm gonna be there probably by like March or April at the latest. Probably March, probably even February, if I'm honest. I might even get there. It depends on how much water I lose in January, because that's a huge factor too, in terms of like weight loss, or like in terms of my progress, because I got pretty low. You know, I got to like 253, so I'm now 273, so I went up 20 pounds. But, you know, last January I went from 328 to 303, 306. I lost 22 pounds in January. So some of it was fat. I did gain fat at the time, but I don't think I really did this year. I really don't. caloric realism is a thing. So if I lose 20 pounds in January, I'm not losing 20 pounds of fat. I'm losing 20 pounds of water that I also gained. I don't even know how many calories I'd have to eat to gain 20 pounds, you know? It's just not real at all. So I think, aside from all that, because I have this weird, like, sped up weight loss era coming on, it is this weird feeling of, like, I'll be mid-size soon. Like, I will be out of this. Like, because I'll continue to lose fat. I'll continue to go as I lose the water. And it's just weird because it's kind of like a fast track moment. So it's like I had to wear some more 2X clothes and I have to change my clothes and then I'm going to have to change my clothes again. And then it will keep going. And that's happened every year. So for me, it's kind of like normal. But I don't know if it happens to everybody that way or whatever, but it can. You know, you can swell pretty dramatically and then it goes back off later, you know. So I think it's just, what do I do with this time? What do I do with the in-between? Because I do kind of feel like my bra era is coming too close. Like, I feel like I'm not as bratty anymore. Like, I feel like my brain has shifted post-solstice. I feel like I'm not really tripping anymore. I'm not, like, having those issues anymore. It just kind of improved. And now I'm very focused again, like I was, you know, prior to November. And so I think it's interesting to consider in general. But I also think, like, I think it's interesting to just think about this time. Like, what do I do in the interim? What do I do? I don't know. How do I feel about it? You know, what do I do with it? Like, this is a huge thing. Like, I feel like I've overcome the last really tough throw of hypothyroidism this December. And now I'm probably coming on the end of obesity in January and February. So what do I do with this time? Like, this has been such a long period of my life that I have been obese, especially, and to be getting to a place where I'm not even going to be fat anymore. Like, that's really weird. You know, Aubrey told me this wasn't supposed to be possible, but here we are. You know, and obviously Aubrey's full of shit, but I think the point is that, what do we do when this actually happens? And I don't know what to do. I don't know what to think about it. I don't know what to feel about it all the time. I think it's just quite literally such a heavy thing that is passing, is going away. It's not going to be a thing anymore. And it's a huge relief, but it's also like, whoa, you know, I'm going into my mediocre era, which is what I will call it to a certain extent. I probably will call it something else, but I think about different eras and stuff on this channel, and I feel like my mid era is approaching. And it's just like a time when your body doesn't really look bad or good. Your body is just there. And I think that that might be healing for me, because my body has been such a huge part of, like, my life and my conversation and all these different things. And it's, for a lot of years, especially being super morbidly obese, my body was the first thing people noticed about me. And obviously I chose to do, like, an activism channel. I chose to talk about it and do this stuff, which I have no regrets. But it is interesting to be entering into a time where mediocrity is going to reign, and it's not going to be important hardly at all. And that's weird, you know, because you're kind of in that phase. It's not necessarily, you know, as mid. You become average, or just, like, very, very average. But I guess it's quite literally mid. in the sense that you're in the middle of the spectrum. Like you're not fat, you're not thin, you're just there. And it's just totally unremarkable. And I do plan on going further. Like, I do want to be in shape for sure. Like, that is my intended goal. But this mediocre era is still going to be a thing, and I need to figure it out. And I am thinking of content to do during this time, as I think I will have to further rediscover myself. You know, I think the brat era and obesity in general, it was about recovering my confidence in a post-tortured, morbid place, because a lot of times in weight loss, especially from very big sizes, it can be very intense emotionally at times due to hormone fluctuations, and it can be jarring. You know, I had an identity crisis, for example, because I didn't know how to live without being so incredibly ill anymore, because I had to focus entirely on my hypothyroidism, that when that was no longer the only thing to focus on, I had an identity crisis, because it was time to start focusing on other stuff. And then it was just dealing with a lot of overwhelm, a lot of things that are behind, a lot of stuff in life that I needed to catch up on, mental health issues, you know, a lot of work, especially mentally and practically in the morbid phase, or even as I was approaching morbidity from super morbid. And then now in obesity, it was just about like finding my confidence again, finding like a footing on the other side of Mo, because I don't think people understand all the time, like, morbid obesity is it's a very jarring phase. I really feel that a lot of people don't stay in it because it's uncomfortable. I think it's probably the most uncomfortable phase. People that are in it, they're usually either losing out to get out of it or gaining to get out of it. Because I don't think a lot of people, I mean, some people probably do stay there, but it's not fun. Like, I don't know, it's a very jarring zone to be in, physically and socially. It's very weird. In my opinion anyways, it's super weird. I was like, obesity is a lot more comfortable. And even within super morbid obesity, you feel solidly, like you feel stuck as fuck in that. With morbid, it's like, you know, you're not as stuck. So it's just weird. It's just a very weird phase. So afterwards, it was just like, I need to be confident. I need to be confident again. I need to find solid ground again. I need to, you know, kind of reconnect to my roots and how I was as a kid and these types of things. Like, that was kind of how I felt getting out of morbid, going to obesity and thinking of things as a child and thinking of things as, you know, how I was when I was younger, because you just feel younger. You feel a lot younger in this phase, which is so healthy and good and just amazing. But getting out of obesity, I think it will be like probably a time where it's not really just about self-discovery anymore. I think it's about self-development, and it's about developing really a different view of life and a totally different social framework, a different everything, because I'm not going to be fat anymore. And so what happens next? You know, who are you after that? What do you have to do? And I feel like, you know, I've already dealt with some of the expectations that are put on me by being a more normal size, which is fine. I'm not against it. It's totally fine. But I also have to think about, like, what am I going to do in terms of like further growth or further development, or just how do I exist in a context where in most circumstances my body is not a conversation whatsoever. And I think that for somebody like myself who has had that toxic ritualistic past, I think that this phase coming up might be extremely important, because it might be a time when I don't ever think about my body, other than on this channel maybe. But it might be a time where it never comes up ever in real life or in relationships or in friendships or in anything. It's something that doesn't even come up. It's something where it's like, if I get a ticket to go on a plane, I don't even think about it. And it's like, what do you do at that time? What do you do with that energy? What do you do with that silence of the fat noise when you're no longer fat? And again, I'm not going to have a dazzling body out the gate. So it's not like I'm going to be having people talk to me about how amazing my body is or any of these things or how in shape I am. That's not going to happen either. So I feel like this phase coming up, I don't know exactly how it will be, but I do wonder about the personality contest aspect. And I just wonder about it. I wonder about what I'm going to have to do, because it is different. It's totally different. And also without my hypothyroidism, like if that starts to really, really resolve, which I feel like it just might, what am I going to do with that extra energy and that extra time? So I feel like, I guess what I'm trying to say is this phase that I'm in currently, which I don't know what to call it. I think it is a transitional point, kind of transitioning out of obesity. This phase is like a time where I have to think about that vacuum of all these conversations. And I've done it before. I did it in terms of the ED, and I was able to fill my brain with other stuff. But to fill my brain with other stuff when the topic of body doesn't come up at all, zero, when it's not a factor whatsoever, I think that will be really healthy for me. That might be a phase of actual body liberation, like being liberated from the conversation, at least for a while. Like I said, until I have a in shape body or a good body, quote unquote, it will be not even a thing. So I don't know. I think it'll be challenging, but I'm kind of excited for it because I have no idea what is in front of me whatsoever. I just don't. All I do know is that it's happening. My set point is crystallizing. My appetite is going down. I'm starting to de-swell again. All the things that typically happen around the winter are happening. Everything's continuing just as it has every other year that I've done this since 2022. That's winter 2023, it crystallized. Winter 2024 crystallized. Winter 2025 is crystallizing. It's all very predictable. So what comes next? What I will say that's different is I'm going to the gym year-round, 365 party girl. So I'm going to get to the gym now. I plan on not stopping at all, so I think that will make my spring easier, because a lot of times the spring is really hard because I'm going back to the gym and it's like really horrible and kind of guttural. That's not going to happen this year. I'm going to keep going. I also probably won't plateau this spring like I did last spring because I went back to the gym. So I don't know. I think I'll let you guys know if things speed up or slow down or whatever, but there are certain signs right now that I feel like it's speeding up. So we'll see. But I think that honestly, depending on how this winter goes, by October, I might be done. If my weight just completely stagnates throughout the winter for some reason, or I have like very, very long plateaus or a lot of issues, then it will probably be, maybe later, maybe by the end of the year, going into 2026. But as of now, depending on how things go, how strict I'm able to be, how much easier it is, all these things, I'm expecting I could be done anywhere between July and October. If I don't have drastic appetite issues or weird hormone fluctuations or weird things that I did in morbid obesity this year, then next year I should be, you know, losing about 8 pounds a month. You know, if I de-swell, get back to like 250, which I'm at like 270 right now. If I de-swell, get back to 250, then, you know, 6 months is 48 pounds. I'd be around 200 at that point. That's in 6 months. That would be June. By July, I would be, you know, 194-ish. By August, 186. You know, that's pretty much done. And if it is a bit slower than that, you could see anywhere between August and October, or July and October, it could be done. It just depends. So I'm also looking at that too. I'm looking at the end of this journey. So it's a huge ending for me. Because then we go into a different phase. We go into the maintenance phase, which Aubrey would just, I know that would just sting so bad, but I'll definitely do videos about all that stuff. But it's like, I don't know. I don't know exactly what will happen. You know, I can't tell. I've never been this far. I've never had any of this happen, you know. All I can do is continue to document, and I will continue. But anyways, with that, you guys, I'm going to go ahead and get my mid-ass to the gym. Or I'll be mid-size soon ass to the gym, since I'm going to be close to it, you know. Getting closer and closer as the month goes by. You guys will probably see the water come off. And then I will get back to you. By the way, I don't know that I'm going to post tomorrow because it's New Year's Eve. I think I'm just going to start strong on the 1st, and we're going to do Daily January. I'm going to do my best. So I'm going to use tomorrow to get going with that so I can kind of start hitting it hard. So I have to do the weekends too. But thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you Wednesday. See you then. Bye.